Alright people, we are ready to roll. It is October 30, about 7:15, or no, oh, my clock's all messed up, sorry. I forgot because I had my battery, I had 2 batteries replaced yesterday evening. Owned it last night. Need to reset my clock, but according to my phone it's 5:02 in the morning. And we're getting ready to roll now, continue my journey to Edwardsville, Kansas. We'll be going east on I-40 today to Tucumcari, New Mexico, and then heading east on US 54 toward Wichita. However, for a couple of reasons, I will be actually ending my day on around the US 50 area in Dodge City, Kansas. The reason for that is, one, Wichita, where US 400, because 54 kind of runs in with 400 west of Wichita. There is a lot of construction going on 400, basically over by where it meets up with I-35. It's a real pain in the butt to deal with all that, the traffic over there and the detours and all that to get to 35. So that's one reason why I'll be avoiding the area. And then another reason is I want to stop at I prefer to be able to end my shift in a spot where I can take a shower, and I get free shower credits at Pilot and Flying J locations, so it's just easier for me to just go ahead and do that. It's the only Pilot Flying J within range of where I plan to go, within a reasonable range of the distance I want to be driving. It's just under 600 miles from here. Wouldn't mind going a little further, but it's not a big deal because I'm about 930 or so miles, I believe it was, from my receiver. And the next close, the only other Pilot Flying J, any kind of reasonable distance away is the Pilot in Stratford, Texas. But that one's actually close enough where I may actually consider doing my 30-minute break there. That's about 420 miles from here. I don't know yet if I will fuel up in Santa Rosa or in Stratford. It's definitely going to be one of the two. According to my Pilot app, the Santa Rosa location is $3.22 a gallon, and the one in Stratford is $3.19 a gallon. So I will be picking one of those locations. I would be more than willing to bet it'll be Santa Rosa, just because I know for sure I can make it there. Watch my tandems going around that barrier there. There's this whole goofy construction affected setup here. Santa Rosa, the Pilot there is, what's that, exit 275 or 6 or somewhere around there. I'm getting on at the 40-mile marker, so it's only about 230 miles from here. Should only take me maybe about 3.5 hours to get there. So it means I should be there by about 8:30 this, maybe a little after 8:30 this morning. I gotta account for some areas where I'll have to slow down for lower speed limits, like in, or not really much lower, but like I was saying yesterday, I don't tend to go more than maybe a couple miles an hour over the posted limit. Just don't need to take stupid risks of tickets. It might take me right around the 3.5 hours, I guess, to get there. I'll probably have some Albuquerque area traffic to deal with. Usually Albuquerque traffic's not that bad though. I don't normally have any real problem with getting through there. Yeah, there are some occasions where, you know, maybe an accident or something might cause a bit of a bottleneck there, but it's usually not that bad. It's nothing compared to what I saw on Kramer Junction a couple days ago. My electrical problem yesterday, I started troubleshooting and basically arcing back to my alternator body. Ended up, I think, replacing that wire and also moving it. Why it was arcing is another question. I don't know if it was just, it could have been an exposed wire there, or probably had to been a bad path to ground as well on that wire, I would think. Because when you have an arc, electrical arc, it happens when there's electricity always takes the shortest path to ground. So if it's arcing, which basically kind of like what a lightning bolt is in a way, or let's just say you touch a battery post with the wrong connector or whatever, or let's say, well, you'll get an arc, and what's happening is basically the electricity's taking the shortest path it can find to ground. I hate these bumpy roads. But what causes that, though, it could be because the path to ground it's supposed to take is not available or too weak or whatever. Maybe it's there, it's just weak, and the electrical current finds a shorter path to ground than the one it's supposed to be taking. So that's basically what causes an arc. Basically, that problem got fixed, and then they went and load tested all my batteries. Surprisingly, the one that was leaking, which was one of the newer ones that I just bought in July, that one was actually in better shape than the oldest one that I had. The only one that did not get replaced last time. That failed its checks, so I ended up having to buy a new one for that one, and then they replaced the one that leaked because it was under warranty. So they ended up getting 2 new batteries. All in all, with labor and everything, it ended up costing me $278. Not ideal, but cost of doing business. There's always the question like, well, why don't I replace the parts myself too? Well, this truck still technically belongs to John Christner Trucking, not me. I'm in the process of buying it, but it's a lease to own, and until it actually is in my own name, can't really, I mean, it's not really a good practice to do that, except for more like the little minor stuff. When it comes to engine related things, you know, where I have a 7-year, 700,000 mile warranty, and then have an electrical problem involving a battery that I know was just recently replaced by the same shop that I was just at, it just makes a lot more sense to just let them work on it. I ended up being there for over 6 hours though, because between the approval process, the troubleshooting, and then toward the end there, the techs were having a bit of trouble getting my fairing installed again. They're having trouble getting the holes to line up, but finally got it all on. So good to go, and I'm well rested, and now let's make our way to Dodge City. Reminds me, if you're going to drive, if you're gonna let someone in front of you know that they can move back over in front of you, when it's dark, do not use your bright lights to flash them. If you can, the other option may be, if you're gonna do anything at all, just turn your headlights off for a second and turn them back on like I just did. Do not flash your brights. The reason why I say this is because at nighttime, you know, when there's little light, your pupils are going to be dilated, you know, which means they're much wider, which makes them a lot more sensitive to what light they do get. So it's to help enhance your night vision. During the daytime, you know, when there's already so much light out here, your pupils will contract, you know, become a lot smaller. So when you flash your brights at someone at night, all you're going to do is piss them off in all likelihood. There's just no need for that. Do you like having someone driving with their brights on coming at you? That's pretty much what you're doing to the guy who's passing you when you do that. So don't do that. I don't know where the hell people get this crazy idea that flashing the brights is courteous. It's not. Courteous thing to do is just don't do shit or turn off your headlights for a second. Because for me, it never fails. Every time I go to, the point where they flash their lights is right at the same point in time where I decide to look in my mirror to check to see if I'm clear of them, or if I'm the right distance from them that I want to be. Me being the guy who's passing, I know if I'm safe or not. If I cannot see two headlights in my mirror, it's not safe. I'm not moving over yet. I don't care if there's much room there. Even if I'm already clear right get in front of you, I'm not going to move over until I see two headlights in my mirror. It's not just the fact that I got to be clear of you, but I need to be able to be clear of you and leave you enough space to react if I end up having to slow down for something unexpected. Now, it's not likely to happen in a lot of situations or most cases, but it does happen. So don't move back over in front of somebody too closely, and like I say, don't shine your brights. It's one thing to shine them during the daytime when, like I was saying, when our pupils are already contracted and less sensitive to that kind of light. Plus, a lot of drivers will drive with their headlights off, so it's not much indication you have. The other option that I see truckers use is they might use their marker interrupt. So you can see their marker lights on the front of the tractor turn off or flash or whatever. Or if it's during the daytime, I might see their marker lights all come on when maybe if they don't have their lights on or normally, or they might turn the headlights on as well. It doesn't matter, but that's just one of the things that I wish people would do a little differently. Not enough people just bother to turn their headlights off. I think it's just too easy to get a hold of the switch for the high beams, and it takes too much effort. A big deal. Reach forward and turn the damn knob or whatever to turn the headlights off for just a second. So don't be that guy who shines your brights. My understanding is the Canadians are the ones who created that crazy idea. I know some people will say that they use high beams because the fact that a lot of trucks have daytime running lights and they don't have the option of turning their headlights off at all. But that's still no excuse to me. They say either just do nothing at all, or use your marker interrupt or something if you have to. There's no reason to flash your high beams at them though. And also, think about it this way: if they can't figure out when it's safe to get around you, or when it's safe to come back in front of you, they probably shouldn't be out of CDL school yet. So if they need help figuring out when they can get back around, get back in front of you, maybe they should go back to training. Now, speaking of, on the other hand here, kind of a contrasting view, I guess. It's just 10 different ways to look at this, really. Me personally, if there's no traffic around at all, and it's just the one truck passing me up, and there's nobody following him, I usually leave my lights. I just don't do anything. I don't give them any kind of indication at all. Hey, you can use all the space you want in front of me before you move over. I don't care. The more you give me, the happier I'm going to be. So, I mean, there's no reason for you to be in a hurry to get back in front of me if there is nobody behind you. But if there's traffic following the other truck, like what was the case in with this truck that just passed me, that's the case where I will actually indicate to them that they can come back over, because there's a concern there that the car or the four-wheel or whatever that is going to that's trying to get by might try to cut me off in an effort to go past the other truck on the right. We don't want that happening. It's too easy for trucks to decide they want to move back over to the right at the exact same moment that a four-wheeler decides they're going to move over there and try to go flying around the truck at the same time. A lot of accidents happen involving trucks and four-wheelers in that exact manner, where a four-wheeler decides they're going to try to pass a truck on the right, and at the same time the truck's in the middle of trying to get over there. When a four-wheeler is right behind a truck, that's the one spot that is really hard to see. Even if you have hood mirrors like I have, it's well, hood mirrors don't help at all with the back, but as far as blind spots around the truck are concerned, the lane I'm in and the adjacent lanes, I can see literally everything in the adjacent lanes. There is nothing I'm not going to see in adjacent lanes. Some people will claim that they can't see stuff, they can't see people in the adjacent lane. There are some cases where that can be true, like if it's maybe a longer nose, like a long-nosed Pete or Kenworth or something. You know, something that's tall and doesn't have a slanted nose. There is a better chance that they are going to have trouble seeing someone who might be hiding on the right side of them by their hood. But for me, I don't care what part of the adjacent lane you're in. You can be up, I'll see you. My mirrors are properly adjusted and I'm looking at all my mirrors and not just glancing real quickly at them, I will see you, guaranteed. However, right behind me, behind my trailer, is where the problem is. If I'm driving straight ahead and you're right behind me, if you're following too closely, I literally will not have any idea you're there unless I saw you come up first. And you know, a lot of times, the only clue I have that someone's even there is I might see a shadow projecting out from them, from where they're at, toward an adjacent lane or something. And then sometimes, even then, I have to figure out if the shadow belongs to someone who's behind me, or if it's maybe someone in an adjacent lane in the same general, like maybe right next to who would be behind me. So that's how hard it is to see a car coming up behind us. Also, so often, you'll see a car doing like 10, 15, even 20 miles an hour faster than a truck, especially in California. They'll come up so fast. It's kind of like motorcycles. How often have you driven and looked in your mirrors, not seen a motorcycle at all anywhere to be found, and then barely like 10, 30 seconds later or whatever, all of a sudden you're getting passed by a motorcycle you had no idea was there before. The same problem happens when you're driving a truck and dealing with cars behind you. Some of these cars will come up so damn fast, we just have no idea they're even there. And there are so many distractions to worry about, and not even, forget about the fact that some people are on their phones and stuff, but, there are a lot of signs that need to be read, other traffic issues, road conditions, all that you gotta be keeping an alert for. At nighttime like this especially, you really want to be on the lookout for wildlife like deer and my area, coyotes as well. Coyote not so likely to do any damage to you, but if you hit a deer or anything bigger, it's going to do some damage to your truck. Or and if you're in a car, it's since deer are leggy, that could actually be fatal. Deer can actually go over the top, slide over the top of your hood and smash right through your windshield and right into you and kill you. That's one of my biggest pet peeves with other traffic is coming up behind me and trying to pass on the right. Never, ever, ever pass a truck on the right if you don't absolutely have to. If there's a lane to the left, get over there. If there's only 2 lanes available, like right here, trust me, the truck's not going to hang out in the left lane unless, you know, except one-off cases where maybe someone's, you know, distracted or tired or whatever, or just kind of in a little kind of daydream world, whatever, where they're not paying any attention. But they'll still eventually move over. So, if you're a four-wheeler watching this, do not pass a truck on the right. It is dangerous. This is Grants, New Mexico. Petrol and Loves here. This is that area I was talking about yesterday that I really hate stopping at. I mean, I don't mind being here overall, but I have never been to this petrol before and not been panhandled. Literally every single time I've ever been there, I get panhandled. One time it was by a man and his daughter or whatever, pretending that they were trying to get gas to go somewhere or whatever, or had a funeral or something like that. You know, usual excuses. The last time I was there, barely got out of my truck and started doing my post-trip inspection, and I was around the passenger side hood area of my truck doing the, you know, inspecting that area of my truck, and I see a white lady come up from basically come around the corner of the truck next to me and then start walking toward me, and like she's trying to get my attention. And I go, oh great, here we go. Yeah, I know this place. I know what kind of crap I'm going to deal with here. So, yeah, sure enough, she comes up. Yeah, it looked like she'd never turned down a good line of methamphetamine or something else, or crack, or who knows. Told me that she was out of gas and trying to get to Santa Fe. I needed help, and I'm like, well, I don't, you know, like, and I made actually a snide comment about how, why is it every freaking time I come to this damn place, someone is always asking me for money? You know, so I made it pretty obvious to her. I didn't appreciate the fact that everybody always asked me for money there. So then, so I'm sorry, she's like in tears and all that. Like, yeah, nice acting job. I'm not going to give you an Oscar for that, though. But she tells me she needs gas, and then I go, all right, well, I don't give cash assistance, but I will help you with fuel, with gas if that's what you need. My buddy Sean's calling, so that's, I guess I'll continue this one in a bit. Hello? Hello? And I'm wanting you. I'll call you back. I don't know if you can hear me. I'll call you back. people. We are back, and I'm climbing on the upper part of Tijeras Pass, which is in between Albuquerque and Moriarty, New Mexico. Anyway, to get back, finish talking about the woman I was talking about in Grants, New Mexico, at the Petro there. Anyway, I was, as you remember, I was doing my post-trip inspection, and she walks up and trying to get my attention, needing help. And I ended up eventually telling her that I don't give cash assistance ever, but I'm not against giving, like putting gas in someone's fuel tank, gas tank or something. So, yeah, I'm still doing my post-trip inspection, and she tells me, all right, I'm in a blue Silverado. I can go ahead. I'm parked over on the other side of the building. I can go ahead and bring it over here to because where I was parked at the Petro was right by the entrance, right off the street. And I actually had full view of the entire, the auto gas pumps on the south end of their lot. So she told me she would bring her pickup over to the pump that was closest to me. I think it was like pump 1 or whatever. And yeah, and then I told her I'd go ahead and take care of it when I'm done with my inspection. Well, no surprise, she never did show up there. And ironically, I just happened to see a blue Silverado pull out of the diner parking lot across the street and take off as they're going back toward the freeway. Yeah, you're so full of shit. I just like I expected. That's exactly why I don't give cash aid to people. Half of these people are drug junkies, or and they're just trying to get their drug fix. And people being sympathetic, thinking they're trying to do the right thing. All you're doing, for a lot of them, is fueling their drug or alcohol habit. Now, there are other people who maybe don't have drug or alcohol habits necessarily, but who are still dishonest and will make up bullshit situations or stories to present themselves as like a homeless vet or something, a homeless person, or even a homeless vet, and try to get you, pull at your heartstrings. And and it's still sucking you into giving them easy money. Now, why go work for a living and pay taxes when you can stand around at a corner and make $200 minimum a day and not have to report a dime of it to the IRS? Yeah, it's a lot easier. These people even work in groups, from my understanding. But I mean, there are some people who legitimately do need the help. But I think really just if you come across somebody like that who's wanting your help, don't offer them cash. Offer them other forms of aid, whether it's food or gas or whatever, shower, doesn't matter. Some of them really are legitimately needing help, but you also got to do some due diligence and make sure that you can verify that they really are in need of some help, and not just one of them moochers who is just trying to take advantage of the system. See, it's getting closer to sunrise. Sun's not quite out yet, but I'm starting to see some of the nice pinkish, orangish kind of color reflecting off the clouds. It'll be up pretty soon. And I think I'm about 20 or so miles from Moriarty. I'll be making my fuel stop in Santa Rosa, the pilot there. I'm at 182, 180, almost at 183. It's just under 100 miles from here. Actually, just over 90 miles. So I just passed the 183. So speaking of that, how did I know that I was about halfway between the 182 and 183? Well, one is to pay attention to the mile markers themselves. However, I take it a step further. I have 4 trip meters on my truck. Like I was mentioning before, I have a 2016 Pete. I have 4 trip meters on it. I have an A, B, C, and a D. The A I usually reset when I pick up my load, so I know how many loaded miles I've actually driven. And I already know how many miles I'm getting paid for, so I'll know more or less in the ballpark how far I am from a receiver if I know how many miles I've already driven. And then the B, the B trip meter I use for the shift. So I'll reset it either at the end or beginning of a shift, and when I can tell how close I am to, let's say, a target distance that I want to run. Maybe I want to run 600 plus miles, and I might look to go 300 plus before I do my break, and then I'll wait for that B meter to get up to 600. And then as soon as I see it hit 600, then I'll just make up my mind where I feel like stopping from there, depending on how I feel or what looks like a place that looks reasonable to me or whatever. And then my C meter is the one I actually use to line up to synchronize with these mile markers. There are times where you're not going to be able to find mile markers because maybe they just aren't there at all. Maybe someone's crashed into one or damaged it or whatever, and it's no longer there. Or it could be, in the wintertime, it could be covered up by snow or something. I've seen that too, especially in Wyoming. Also, you might be in an area where maybe it's a little more urban, you have a lot more traffic around you, you have a lot more time you got to spend looking ahead and in your mirrors and all that everywhere around you, and the more obvious signs, it's easy to miss stuff. I mean, you really want to be in the habit of not missing anything at all, but let's face it, it does happen. You will miss things. You are going to miss details. You are going to miss signs, and you are going to miss mile markers, even if you are making a conscious effort to try to notice as many of them as you can. It's just, it doesn't, just one other car concerning you, like let's say what happened to me a couple days ago with that pickup up by Visalia. He took my attention because he came across and I was wondering what the hell he was doing. Then I saw him coming up, saw him on my mirror coming up, and couldn't tell if he was going to pass me, or then he looked like he decided he was going to stay behind me. So I got preoccupied with what the hell he was doing and lost sight of the fact that my interchange was coming up. So that adds a little more detail to what I was talking about in that situation there. How in the hell did I miss my exit? It happens. I knew exactly where I needed to go, but I just got distracted with a traffic situation there and just happened to miss it. Big deal. But yeah, as far as these mile markers are concerned, let's say I'm coming up on I'm at the 187.5 right now. Now, I tend to notice mine, like if I synchronize it perfectly with, let's just say, when I get to the 200 mile marker, I'll reset it back to 0. Usually by the time I get, for every 10 miles I drive, it tends to go about 1/10 of a mile longer than what the mile markers actually show. Not always the case, but usually. And let's pick it back up. up here. Getting the 10th. Anyway, yeah, it's usually every 50 miles or so I'll reset it, and I always try to do it at an even number, like any kind of mile marker that ends with a 0, preferably like a mile marker 0 as soon as I get into a state, or as soon as I get on a particular interstate that just starts at a certain spot. Interstate, like say 0, 50, 100, so on, like that. It's when I usually recalibrate it, I should say. That way, if I ever need to figure out where I'm at, let's say I don't have a mile marker immediately handy to look at, and maybe I missed one or something, or one just not there or whatever. I can look at my trip meter and add the number of, add or subtract whatever my baseline mile marker was, and figure out what mile marker I'm at based on that. One of the reasons why you should always know where exactly you're at is because there are going to be times where you might have to report an incident of some type. You might see an accident. You might need to report the accident, someone else's accident, so they can get help they need. Or maybe you're getting an accident yourself and need to get help to you as soon as you can. Or say, here are a couple examples of that. I had one case where I was in the Walmart fleet with England. I had just gotten over the top of the Cajon Pass on I-15 in Southern Cal, not far from my house, actually. Right after I got over the summit, just past Oak Hill Road, which is the exit right there at the top of the summit. About a half mile or mile past that exit, I saw a white Honda Civic on the right shoulder in the dirt area with what I at first thought was just because I saw it looked like its hood might have been up, and I thought it was just overheating or something, so I didn't think much of it. But as I kept getting closer, I was looking at it to see what was going on with it. It turned out it wasn't steam coming from the car's radiator. It was actually dust from the car actually going into the dirt there, and which was the other thought I had. But I figured, all right, well, the car just stopped. All right, well, now it turned out was the car was in an accident. I didn't see anything else around, and the whole side of the car, well, actually the whole front end of the car was kind of smashed up. At first I thought maybe it had rolled or something, but it didn't quite make perfect sense yet. And as I was passing by, there was a young male adult in front of the car by the hood, and he sees me approaching and looking, and he starts waving his arms frantically at me, trying to get me to stop to help him. So I pull over, and I finally come to a stop, probably a good quarter mile or so past him at least. And I could tell since the car had been in an accident. The first thing I did before I even got out of the truck was call 911 to let them know about it. And as I do that, I'm also walking back toward the car, still on the line with the dispatcher. And the guy who I had just seen in front of the car is now running toward me full speed, frantically, comes up to me and is screaming like, "You gotta help me! He's still in the car!" He basically he was unconscious. And what happened was the guy who came running up to me, I guess he was the brother of the guy who was driving. Well, I didn't realize this. Well, I'll give you more on that in a second here. But I follow him back to the car, and by the time I get back to the car, he's already pulling his brother came to and started climbing out of what used to be the windshield to get out, and he was kind of helping him out. His brother, the driver, was staggering a little bit, of course, a little dazed from what just happened. He got lucky though. He had a what was more like a superficial cut on the back of his head, or kind of back or side of his on the left side of his head. A couple of little cuts that looked like they were probably from getting cut by glass or something. But that was pretty much it. And, aside from the as well as the concussion that he apparently had as well. So anyway, it didn't take long at all for the cops to show up, and it does help a lot to know. For one, I knew the area. I knew exactly where to report it or where to tell them to go. But there are a lot of times you're in an area where you don't know the area so well, and maybe there are no exits nearby. Even, for example, like this exit here, Howard Cavoso. I don't know this area that well. I don't remember that street too well. I remember exit numbers a lot of times, or more easily, because I know I reset my trip meter at the 170 mile marker last. I've driven 26 miles just about, so I know I'm coming up on the 196. 196 should be right here in front of me. So, boom. If I have to call 911 and tell them where I'm at or where something is at that I need to report, there it is. Give them the exact mile marker or a distant direction from the mile marker, and it's very easy for law enforcement or medics or whoever to locate whatever it is. But anyway, going back to that white Honda, it turned out there was another truck driver about half a mile up the road, or actually a quarter to half mile up ahead of me on the right shoulder. I had no idea that he was associated with the accident. I just thought he was just another random truck on the right shoulder, like a lot of stupid people do. Or maybe he was broke down, but he didn't have his triangles out. And so many times we see trucks out here that are on the right shoulder for no legitimate reason. And so anyway, I get through dealing with the guy back there, and another couple that was there basically on their way to a Halloween party apparently, because it was October 31st of last year. They were helping out as well. Then the police and medics showed up. They got him to take off in the ambulance with them. Now it's funny, the guy was, when he came to completely, because I was trying to get him to sit down and all that, and then he looked at his car, and he's like freaking out, my car! He saw how damaged and trashed it was. And that's all his concern was, and I was telling him, man, you're lucky you're alive. Forget about the fact that your car's damaged. Well, anyway, once I got cleared away from the scene by the cops, or CHP, I go back to my truck to police up my triangles and all that, and while I'm picking up my triangles, this guy is up by the right front end of my truck, on my hood here. And he's walking back toward me. I'm like, where the hell did this guy come from? That's when I realized this truck was up there, of course, and then he starts talking to me. Well, it turned out he was a Curacao driver, and I don't know the full details of it, but I can make an assumption based on what I saw on his truck and what I saw of the car. I'd be willing to bet you anything he was maybe in the middle lane, or actually the number 3 lane perhaps, and decided to try to move over to the number 4 lane, which is the far right lane. Come on, people. Got a couple of 4-wheelers I'm waiting for to get around me before I can get around this guy. Anyway, not letting you go around me, Penske. You can wait. Anyway, based on the damage, because the right side of the ICC bar on the truck was damaged, it pushed in all the way to basically half the distance between the back of the trailer and where his rear tandem was. So it looked to me like the Civic driver probably tried to pass the truck on the right at the same time the truck was trying to make a merge to the right. So I'm willing to bet that's what happened there, and that's one of the reasons why I say don't ever pass the truck on the right. And if you can pass on the left, pass on the left. Do not ever pass on the right if you don't absolutely have to. Because this guy got knocked out. He could have gotten killed. Because his A-pillars were caved in from the bottom of the trailer hitting it. But I guess it didn't cave in enough where, thankfully, enough where it did any serious major injury to him or his brother. So that was a perfect example of that, about not passing a truck on the right, and also as a trucker or as any kind of driver, you should always know where you're at. What exits are you near, or what city are you near, or what mile marker are you at? Any information that gives you the best information possible to an emergency dispatcher can really help out if someone's life could be on the line. I had another one sometime last year. I was also in that Walmart fleet. I was going across, I think it was I-40. Yeah, Interstate 40 in California, going toward Flagstaff. Because we always delivered to the Sam's Club over there. And at one point there, in kind of the barren desert, at nighttime, I saw a small fire burning right next to the right shoulder. In the middle of nowhere. I wonder where that came from. You think maybe someone's cigarette? That's another reason why you don't throw cigarettes at your vehicles. At least not in California, or like even right here. See how dry the vegetation is? It lands in that, you can spark a wildfire, and wildfires can, they've been proven to kill people, destroy homes, or destroy businesses, whatever. So don't get yourself, don't put yourself at risk of getting put in jail or having to live with the reality that you just caused someone to lose their home or their life or loved one or whatever. But anyway, someone evidently thrown a cigarette out the window and lit the brush on fire right next to the shoulder there. It was pretty small, but being from Southern Cal and having to deal with wildfires myself, and damn near getting evacuated from one that happened in the Cajon Pass a couple of years ago. Actually, the same fire that burned down the way station on the southbound side of the I-15 in Cajon Pass. That same fire got almost to a point where we had to almost to the point where we were going to have to evacuate from our home. But anyway, going back to this fire though, I called it in, and thankfully I knew exactly where I was at as far as the mile markers were concerned, and I need to give you another detail on that part as far as California is concerned. I told them it's at exactly a mile marker of 127.5, I think, or something like that. And no, it was probably not that. It was more like, I think around the 100 or so, to be real. But there's somewhere in, I don't know, somewhere in that, we'll just say 87.5 for the hell of it. And I let the dispatcher know it's right at this particular point. And she's asking me, is it over by Essex Road? The Essex Road exit? And I go, no, it's I haven't even gotten to Essex Road yet. And I told her it's at exactly this mile marker. I know exactly where I'm at. So just tell your guys it's at this exact point, and they'll find it. But Yeah, it turned out Essex Road exit was like a good 10 miles beyond where I saw the fire. I guess because someone else saw the fire and reported it and told the dispatcher the first exit they passed after they'd already passed the fire. But yeah, I was able to give a more precise location, which can make a difference at times. So those are a couple of examples of where it always pays to know exactly where you're at, what mile marker you're at, where you need to be, and I mean, where they need to be. Like I say, someone's life could depend on it, or someone's property could depend on it. Anyway, with the mile markers, I mentioned in California the mile markers are different. The exit numbers are by state, like everywhere else except for New Jersey and New York. But the mile markers on the side of the freeway or road or highways are not by state, they're by county. So each time you enter a new county, the mile markers reset back to 0 if you're going north or east, or they go from 0 to all of a sudden a high number if you're going south or west, generally speaking. Now, a couple of weird examples though where they do go the opposite direction, like Highway 138. I've noticed that one the mile markers go the wrong direction, it seems, but I can't figure that one out. But anyway, yeah, and the mile markers in California are a lot harder to read too. They're white with black letters and our black numbers and letters. The letters represent what county you're in, and then the numbers of course, tell you what mile marker you're at. It's usually like a 1, 2, or 3. Let's say if you're at mile marker 5, you'll see a large 5 and 2 small zeros. Or you might be at mile marker 5.5. It'll be a large 5 and a small 50. And then if you're in, let's just say in San Bernardino County, you'll see SBD written across it, or something along that line. At nighttime, they're a real bitch to see. I mean, you can actually see them, but half the time you can't read them, even if you are actually looking right at them. So that's one of the things I really wish California would change. Now, being born and raised in California, I will say we never even had exit numbers before, where the whole rest of the country did. The exit numbers, like this, say exit 208 that we just passed. That's what I'm talking about there. We used to never have those kind of exit numbers on anywhere in California for many years, and then because of tourists coming into California or truckers, there were a lot of complaints about how we didn't have that, and it was always difficult to figure out where exactly how far away they are from where they need to go or whatever. California finally agreed to put exit numbers on all of the exits. I think there are still some areas of the state on some freeways where you still won't find an exit number, but most all of them, like all the interstates, at least have them. It's just U.S. highways and state highways that are also freeways. It's kind of more hit and miss. You might not actually find an exit number. Maybe like U.S. 101, for example. It's been a bit since I've been over there, but I thought I remember seeing some where they still didn't have exit numbers. So that's one of the downfalls with navigating in California, but it's also one of those places where it forces you to, if you're not going by exit numbers, it also forces you to remember actual street names, which most of us be damned if we can actually remember street names or exit whatever a street is for an exit. So, I mean, exit numbers are obviously a lot easier to remember. Like, all right, I'm going to the left, or Flying J, or the Walmart distribution center in North Platte. Oh, okay, that's exit 179. I still don't remember that. Yeah, even if I do look at the street name, I always have a hard time remembering the street name. But it doesn't matter. I know it's exit 179. That's easy to remember. So that's where having the exit numbers really helps out a lot. And of course, with California, because you can have multiple counties on the same highway, like say Interstate 15. The south end of it's in San Diego County, but then it goes through, Riverside County, and then San Bernardino County. So you have 3 different counties involved before it goes into Nevada. And each time you go into a new county, the mile marker resets to 0, like I was saying. And so when you get to the end of the state, you might be at like mile marker 180, or what is it? I think the literal mile marker by state is like 286 or something like that, if I remember right. But then, or no, 290 something maybe. Because I know it was like a 109 mile difference between the San Bernardino County mile marker and the state mile marker. So I really wish that'd be one thing that California would change, is make all the mile markers themselves also by state. Speaking of these county mile markers, though, there are other places, like, say, some U.S. highways, like U.S. 95, for example, in Nevada, Oregon, Idaho, all that, where you'll see a lot of the same thing. It's these same style mile markers where it's a white mile marker and it shows what county, an abbreviation for what county you're in, and the actual milepost for that county itself, but not for the state. So California's not the only place with problems with that, but it's the easiest example to cite, because you can even be on interstates and have that problem. Something I also want to clear up here, because I had kind of put an aside in there about New York and New Jersey not being the same way as all the other states are as far as exits are concerned. Yeah, they're a little bit different. Every state outside of those 2 that I know of, I've not driven a truck up in the states north of New York. I've been to a couple of those states by military aircraft, but never by truck. But anyway, New York and New Jersey, their exit numbers are actually literal exit numbers. So, and they don't line up with what mile marker they're at. So let's just say, like I was mentioning, like exit 179 in North Platte, Nebraska, you know that you're actually 179 miles east of the Wyoming border. On I-80, but New York and New Jersey, let's just say you're on maybe on I-90 coming in from Ohio or Pennsylvania, whatever it is, I forget. I've only been through there a couple times. I think Pennsylvania, yeah. But basically, the first exit you see will be exit 1. It doesn't matter if exit 1 is at mile marker 1 or mile marker 8. First exit you actually come across will be exit 1. The second exit you come across will be exit 2. The third exit you'll come across will be exit 3. It doesn't matter if each exit is 8 miles away from each other, it's still going to be sequentially like that. Now I'm interested in knowing how they handle that situation if you add in a new interchange in between 2 of those numbers. Maybe they do like a 2-way or something, I don't know, or maybe they renumber the whole entire length. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It seems pretty stupid to me. Guys, we're in Santa Rosa. Just about to get off the freeway here. Exit 276, which is where the Pilot, Loves, and TA are all at. We'll be stopping at the Pilot. Only need enough to get me to Stratford. I can get most of the way to Stratford on what I have for sure. I just want to make sure I can make it there. So I'm just going to get like 50 gallons worth of fuel here. Stratford's fuel's a little bit cheaper, not by much, but it is. So I'm gonna get just what I need from here to get to Stratford. And I ended up getting a call from a dispatcher about a swap with another driver in Stratford who's trying to get home to Kansas City or Kansas or something like that. I don't know, but works out great for me because this load isn't. I'm going to be in Kansas City area an entire day early, so this is perfect. I'll be swapping with that driver in Stratford at the Pilot, and then after that I'll be coming back this way with the load going to the Phoenix area. Not always a fan of making this left turn because it's unprotected and you can't see around that curve to see who's coming or who isn't coming. Go down this way. There's some dirt lot next to Dairy Queen. I like that's pretty popular for trucks to park at. I usually like parking there myself because I like Dairy Queen. There's a Mexican restaurant right across the street from it also. Of course, I'm always iffy on any kind of Mexican food outside of California, so I've never tried that place yet, but I'm not against trying it, just haven't. Right here on the left is the lot I'm talking about. See another JCT there too, 3578. And right down the street is the Pilot. Got to be the widest left turn lane I've ever seen. Standard lanes on a major road are usually 12 feet wide, but let's see, 3463F. Don't know you. But yeah, that one looked like it had to have been at least a good 16 feet wide. When I'm coming up to a fuel island, you notice when I make my turns, I always go past my spot and then come back to it. That's done intentionally because I want my tandems to line up with my spot. I can always get my tractor to line up easily, but I need to get my tandems to line up first. If I try to turn right into there like I'm in a car, what's going to happen is my tandems will not line up correctly with the spot, and if there are any obstacles there in the area, maybe I don't give enough room, then I might have to either back out of it or might, say if you do the same thing and a less attentive driver doesn't have a habit of checking your tandems, you're going to find out the hard way you're going to have an accident. So usually if I'm coming in at a 90-degree angle from the fuel island, what I do is line myself up with basically turn like, let's say if I wanted to come from the left, right, like I did, but I would go pointing right in the middle of the lane next to me where this guy in the black truck next to me is, and then I'd come right back to my spot, and that would get my tractor and tandems to line up with the lane at the same time. I'll be getting tractor and reefer here. Then we'll continue on to Stratford after this. Dude almost tripped over himself. Alright, got my fuel code from the pilot app. Ready to roll. And contact info for the guy I'm swapping with. Let's get back on the road. I got 3:56 left on my clock. We'll be going another not quite 60 miles from here to Tucumcari. Get to Tucumcari, the same exit where the Flying J and Loves are at there. We'll be getting off there and going straight up the road. That's US 54. And US 54 we can just stay on right on, and I mean it'll take us straight up to Stratford from there. Stratford is in Texas, up in the Panhandle. Wait until after I pass by UPS first, so he can start his turn a little sooner. Yeah. Guess he's stalling, huh? Yeah. Kind of stalled, but whatever. Not my problem. Now that I know what's going on and how far what distances I'm working with, I'm hoping maybe I'll end my day actually right here in Santa Rosa. Just basically at this point go up, do the swap, do my 30-minute break while I'm there also, and then should be able to easily reach back here. Because if still under 60 miles from here to Santa Rosa, and then from Santa Rosa to Stratford. I want to say it's a little, not too much more than 100. I forget the exact miles, but it's shouldn't be. Yeah, I don't think it's more than 150 or so. I forget the exact miles. I think it was 420 from Jamestown. No, it might be more like 180 total then, because I've driven just over 240. Figure it out. Either way, even if it's 180, there's a pretty decent chance I can make it back here. If not, I'll end my day in Tucumcari. Not my favorite place to stop at. It's not a bad place. It's just cellular service there sucks. And my phone service usually is fine there, but the data is horrible. So, and I'm not too big a fan of staying there, just because I can't really do much of much use there during my off-duty time. Some kind of horse mounted to the front of a VW. One of those things we don't see every day, I guess. Side of the freeway. I don't know crap about classics, but saw on classic open top convertible, whatever you want to call it, car going the other way just a second ago. Mile marker 312, just over 20 miles out from Tucumcari. People, our exit's coming up for US 54 here in Tucumcari. It's right here in front of us, about half a mile away. I'm wondering if hopefully some of you are NHRA fans and can better educate me on this, because I don't really follow drag racing that much, but yesterday I saw truck and trailer, whatever, was Ricky Smith Racing, and it was in eastbound here on 40. He passed me up, and he was followed by another not really, I don't remember, if it was a pickup, whatever, hauling an unmarked trailer that I think might have been also a drag racing related trailer. They were together because they were talking to each other on the CB. However, I tried looking them up. I mean, looking NHRA schedule up afterward, and it turned out the NHRA just had an event in Las Vegas this last weekend. But the next week, this next week is supposed to be, I guess, the Winter Nationals in Pomona. Well, NHRA competitors from Vegas to Pomona would be going down I-15 into California and then across I-10. So why would I be seeing NHRA racers coming east on I-40? I mean, I'm guessing they're coming from Las Vegas. I assume they would have come down US 93 from Vegas and then hit 40 in Kingman. But I'm just kind of curious why they would not be going to Pomona. I guess I have to look them up more. I have to look those particular teams up because I just got passed by an El General Racing, or El General, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, just a few miles before I got off the freeway here. I'm sure some of you guys know something about them, about those particular teams, and maybe have a better idea what they have going on east of here, wherever they're going. So if you know something about that, let me know in the comments section, what you know about that, because I don't know anything. This is 54. We just keep going straight ahead. It's gonna curve a couple times. We'll be going through some little towns and stuff. It's mostly two-lane, undivided highway. All the states up between here and Kansas, if I remember right, it's all 65-mile-an-hour speed limits, except for when we're in towns and also in Texas. Texas limit is, if I remember, 70 or 75 or something. Now, one thing I do always find peculiar about taking this route, it never fails. Every time I come through here, I always seem to see a whole bunch of CRST trucks. I'm interested where exactly are they coming from and going to. Obviously I don't have any experience with CRST or what their freight lanes are like, but it just seems like they have an unusually large number of trucks that are always here on US 54. I kind of expect to see the bull haulers and stuff here. I figured CRST must have some kind of customer around here somewhere that they do a lot of business with. I mean, I know they're based in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm not sure if this is the way they normally go to get to the southwestern U.S. from their own area. I don't know, but yeah, that's something else I'd be interested in knowing from you guys. It's just one of those. It's a pattern I recognize every time I come through here. I always see them, several of them. I usually come through here in the middle of the night, though. We're here because I might be taking loads into Kansas or Missouri or somewhere. I've even had one where I went up to Illinois because we don't normally use I-70 in between Utah and Denver. So a common way we'll go if we're going out toward like Illinois or somewhere, or Wisconsin, will be to take this route, I-40 over to US 54, and then work our way up 35 or something, along that line. Or we might, of course, take 40 and 44 up to St. Louis. Let's see how long it takes to have an encounter with the CRST now. FedEx, 2 FedExes here. Yeah, those are common. I know why too. They have a drop yard or a transfer yard or whatever you want to call it, swap yard, where they do their little back and forth swaps, whatever. Right by the pilot in Stratford, where I plan to be stopping anyway. It's just before, like, just about a stone's throw from the pilot there. They have a yard that they commonly do transfers at. There's a way station coming up over here. It's usually always closed when I come through here, but keep in mind I usually come through here in the middle of the night. I've been told it's more often than not open though by other people, so find out here before long when I get to it. These 43 miles. Remember, that's right at the border of New Mexico and Texas, so that gives me an idea how far away I am from the Texas line. So I just reset my trip meter. I do have written, I think, documented on my notepad thing how what the last mile marker is here. US 54 New Mexico is 91 miles, or at least the section of it that I'm on, so that should be a little further. And so it's not an RV stop. I forget it's there's a town right there, right at the New Mexico Texas border. Just can't remember the name of it. Truck a little longer than I expected to coast down to 55-ish. Took so long, by the time I got back down, it's already back up to 65 now. Over 1.5 miles, that's been going on here for a while. Drops about 35, 45 if it's still the way it was since the last time I came through. It's like 55 here. Oh, this isn't the part I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about that little ravine or something. So it's down to 45. Looks like our lane is blocked. I'm sure there's a flag down there too. 31 miles. And I want to say Stratford is another, I don't know, 30, 40 past that, 35, somewhere on that, I don't know. It's got to be in that ballpark because I usually, we do a lot of pickups from JBS plant over in Cactus, Texas, which is off of Highway 287. And Stratford is right at the end, right where US 54 and US 287 meet up. So Stratford is basically straight up 287 from Cactus. But normally when I go to Cactus from this direction, I don't usually go all the way up to Stratford and come back down. I usually just get to Dalhart, and then I cut across the farm to market road, which is right around 30 miles. Maybe just a hair less, something. It's right in the ballpark of 30 miles though. I cut across that to get over to 287, and then I get on to 287 just barely, maybe a mile or two or so north of where the JBS plant is in Cactus. So Dalhart should be, from Dalhart to Stratford should be in just slightly longer distance, not by a lot, maybe 35 miles. So it should be about 110, 115, whatever it was. What was that all about? I don't know if you saw what that car did there. Suddenly veered over to the right shoulder for no really apparent reason. Bet you they're distracted driving. See how they're hanging out on the right side of the lane? I don't know if it's their phone or maybe they dropped something. Maybe they have something in their right seat that they're trying to deal with, or trying to reach for something in the back seat. Whatever it is, it's probably distracted driving that's causing that. I just think if I recognize this stuff just as a truck driver, and I'm just driving behind you, and I can tell that you're probably doing that. Just imagine how easy it is for a cop who's always looking for that kind of thing. How easy it is for them to figure out who's probably driving distracted and not. It's one thing I noticed, that people who text and drive usually always have a tendency to drift to the right side of the lane, and then they'll return back to the center. They'll do it regularly, every time they look down into the right, because most people will try to hide the fact that they're texting, and they'll actually have their phone in their lap instead of having it in a mount at least. The best thing to do is just don't touch it at all, but I don't know, I gotta have a thought on this. If you absolutely can't avoid doing it, or you just can't resist the urge to do it, there are still some ways you can do it a little more safely. To me, it doesn't matter what kind of distraction it is. Doesn't matter if it's your phone, maybe a front seat passenger, maybe you're doing something with your radio or whatever. Whatever the distraction is, a couple of good rules of thumb here. Don't mess with it when you have traffic around you. If someone's right next to you or about to come up on you, or you're following somebody, the best thing to do is just put it away. Don't even think about it. And also, if you're coming up near any curves, don't mess with it. Don't mess with whatever that distraction is while you're approaching the curve. If you watch one of my other videos from, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, I have a video on my page where I'm on my way back toward I-40 from Bullhead City, and a young male driver decided to text and drive while he was approaching a left curve in the road in one of those towns just south of Bullhead. Anyway, he basically kept going straight even though the road curved to the left because he wasn't paying attention. And he ended up bouncing off the curb, and basically he ricocheted back into the middle of the road. Thankfully nobody else was around, or at least right there, and basically he realized he was getting ready to go into the other side of the into the oncoming lane, so he overshot back in the other direction, lost control a little bit, and on the next move he ended up going over the curb right by a driveway, and his car actually his entire car got caught air. He was going over it sideways, almost like he was in like one of those off-road truck racing events or something. Where they go over these jumps sideways. That's pretty much what it looked like to me. And I thought he was gonna eat it once he landed it, because I thought he was gonna lose control from the landing, and turned out he ended up saving it, but his whole right front quarter panel ended up getting taken right off the car. So I remember seeing it sitting on the road that he had ended up on. And he got lucky there was nothing there except for the road to end up on too. But man, it wasn't even the road that we were on; it was a different road. And anyway, he ended up staying on his wheels and tires, whatever, and then kept it under control, kept it on that street somehow, and then he makes a turn around the corner there like nothing ever happened. It was just, but myself and a pickup driver both stopped to check on him, but we took off as soon as we realized he kept going, never even stopped. But he did have an accident there. Ultimately, he did lose his quarter panel because of it. And some people, there were other people in the area who were at risk of getting hit. So, you gotta really pay attention. I mean, if you're gonna have distractions, like I say, it doesn't matter who it is or what it is. Don't do it if you're around a curve or other traffic. Bumps. Just took off running. I wonder if he's just playing or what. Yeah, it looked like he might be playing or trying to run from some flies or something. Maybe just a little frisky, I don't know. I think this is that ravine I was talking about where I remember the limit coming down to 45 or 35, whatever it was. Engine brake use prohibited. Whatever. I'll do what I want. I think those signs actually apply to trucks that have the have the open exhaust where the engine brake is extremely obnoxious and loud. Most newer trucks have basically an engine brake muffler, so it's a lot more quiet when most of the newer trucks run their compressor brakes. I don't normally worry about those signs because it's not really very loud at all when I run mine. I have to look on the map to remember what this town's name is. I don't have my map open right now, so I don't know the name of this city. Or town, whatever you want to call it. See, Ute Lake. I don't know if that's the name of the town, though. I don't feel like opening my map just to look it up, so, oh well. Logan Municipal Schools. Logan Village Office. Okay, that's a couple of clues that we might be in a town called Logan. Through traffic, keep right. Visa. Buffalo Wild Wings, Toby Keith, something like that. They're in Abilene. And I remember using the GPS that I had to figure out where it was at and get to it. But then when we finished having our food and drinks and all that kind of stuff there, and we're going back to the base, I had my personal vehicle. I had a pickup, Toyota Tacoma. Well, we were all riding in it, and on the way back to the base, I didn't use the GPS at all because I remembered the exact street names or some visual landmarks that I remembered seeing on the way there. You know, I remember turning at this such and such street, or you'll see this at a particular business or whatever at the intersection, whatever. That's how I navigated. So I basically never even been to Abilene before, except for that one time. Except passing through as a trucker now, but back then I'd never been through there, except for maybe once before, and it was just passing through again. And you know, I get back to the base, or actually, now my friends were like asking me if I was gonna, don't I need my GPS to find my way back to the base? I go, no, I remember the way back. The same way we came in this way. So they were pretty amazed. I didn't think much of it. It's like, well, if anyone who's paying attention can do this, there's nothing special about me. Looks like the way station might be open too, because I see a truck up there. I can't tell if he's on the street or if he's coming out of the way station. So we'll find out here in a second. But anyway, they started jokingly calling me the human map because of that. I guess because my previous knowledge of, that's close. All right, excellent. These guys are coming out of the way station, but it's either just open for the westbound traffic or they just happen to be, I see a skateboard there, so it's probably open for the westbound traffic, but closed for us. Because he's on the scale. I don't know if he's just scaling for his own fun or Yeah, look like they're open on that side. Because I can see the upside down close sign right here, so it means the other side of it probably says open. Yep. Westbound is open. We're getting pretty close to the Texas border here. Should be the town of Nada Visa here, or is it coming up? It's right in this area. But it's like another few miles up the road to get to the Texas border. This kind of chance to pull away from us, because I've been noticing I've had a tendency to catch up to him a little bit, so in a couple spots. Oh, another CRST. That's a nice looking rig. Classics. I don't know what that thing was, but cool looking. But fun to drive. Guys, we're in Dalhart, Texas now. We're only about a little over 30 miles away from the swap location in Stratford. I'm going to show you something about this town here, though. Because if you're not paying good enough attention to what you're doing, it's easy for you to make a wrong turn. Let's say if you're trying to stay on US 54. See how there's a couple of traffic lights up the road? I think it's the second one up there. We're going to have to turn left to stay on 54. If you go straight ahead, you'll end up going onto, I forget the name, what that other highway is. 87 or something, I forget. I'm going to cross it anyway when we're on 54. Yeah, it is 87. Okay, so you might make the mistake of going straight ahead. You might make the mistake of going straight ahead when you're supposed to make the left turn. If you do make that mistake, it's not a big deal. You can just go straight down the road.
Doing pretty good.
You can go down straight down the road to 87 and then make a turn left, and then you can run right back into 54 and turn right. I'm trying to leave them a little extra room just in case they needed it. It's a little bit tight. I don't know if he ended up running over the curb with his tandems or not. Remember, green circle and on a left turn means you do not have right of way. You have to wait for traffic coming the other way. When I lived in Highland, California, it used to drive me nuts. I'd come down the street to Baseline Avenue, from my house, and make the right. I'd go or make the right turn, and I had a green light too. I'd make the right turn onto Baseline. And all the traffic coming out of the gas stations across the street would make left turns in front of me, and they'd even have the audacity to honk at me like I'm the one who's doing something wrong. Alright, also right here, I'm going to recommend get in the left lane if you plan to stay on 54. You'll see when you get up here. Normally here in Dalhart's where I usually cut off at 54 to go across the Cactus if I'm doing a JBS pickup. This time we're going to be continuing on 54 though, of course. So you see it says junction Farm to Market, Farm Road 297. That's the road that I take. Tracks are clear. Yeah, this diagonal road right here at this intersection is 297. That's the way I normally go. Take it about 30 miles straight down there, and you'll end up in just on the north end of Cactus. One second thought, that reminds me. I'm so used to coming through here and going to Cactus that I thought there was a reason why I usually was in the left lane there. I forget why though. I had one time here about a year and a half ago, maybe even a couple years ago, I don't know. I came through here westbound and had to hellacious rains, and had I also came up to that intersection there where the railroad crossing was. I think they had a malfunction there because there weren't any trains coming, but the gate was closed and the lights were flashing and all that, and warning, we couldn't make it across. But I needed to continue on, of course, and I think the weather had something to do with it. I know sometimes snow and rain, whatever, or at least snow, can have a tendency to mess with the electrical connections there that those train crossing signals use. Well, it ended up working out just fine because even though that guard was having a malfunction, all I had to do was make the left turn there onto Highway 87, go down the road just, barely quarter mile, whatever it was, and then make the right turn back onto that same street that turns into 54 again. So a nice little workaround there if you ever come through here and have any issues like that. This will be the last stretch of 54 I'll be on right here between Dalhart and Stratford. Let's see, it should be about 27 about 27, maybe 28 miles from here to Stratford. pretty common here in the Great Plains region, though. It's hard to tell which direction it's coming from at the moment. I think it might be a tailwind. I can usually use my CB antenna as a gauge to let me know which direction it's coming from and how strong. At the moment, it's not that easy to tell what it's really, which way it's getting blown at. It's not really off to either side. It was a little bit off to the left earlier, but it's maybe a slight bit left now, but not by much. But whether it's a tailwind or a headwind, it kind of feels like it's a headwind, to be honest with you. A bit of trouble getting around that lowboy driver that I was behind earlier. It took a while, and then he finally decided on his own to pull off the road a few miles west of Dalhart. I thought it was just to let me and the car that was following me over, but it turned out he actually pulled over for other reasons too, I guess. Maybe he needed to use the restroom or something. Farm here, I think. I know there are a lot of cotton farms out this way in West Texas, so that's what I'm guessing. Yeah, it looks like they are. It's funny. I have a friend who currently trains other drivers, and I guess the driver he's training or recently trained, whatever. Yes, he had his first encounter with a cotton field, and I guess he said something about, oh, so that's where marshmallows come from. They didn't have the heart to tell him that it was really a cotton field. For this load as far as where our progress with it is concerned. I'm just about to get into Stratford now. I only have maybe a couple miles to go to get to the pilot that I'll be swapping this out at. Tell you what, we were in Dalhart, or when I was in Dalhart, it's like every time I go there, there's some massive beef farms over there on the west end of Dalhart. I can't even imagine how many cattle they have there on each of them. Gotta be thousands. see traffic on 287 over there to the right. Okay, so we'll cross some railroad tracks, and then right after we cross the tracks, right on the right side is the pilot. Now for the 60 zone. Let's see if the slight uphill grade will slow me down on its own. I think it's doing a decent job. And down to 50. Population 2017. I almost think that's when it was established or something. National carriers know early on that I'm planning to turn into where he's coming out of. There is a train coming there, or at least I see one with its lights on it. This is too tight for a U-turn setup here, so I'll just come down here a little further out in the open. We'll see if the other guy's here too. I don't see him, so he must not be here. I'll park right here. Anyway, I actually thought I overrotated the tractor a little bit before I even started before I came to a stop, but still well positioned. Just have to make some little adjustments here. Some for those of you, if you're not that good with backing, one of the big mistakes I see people make a lot is they oversteer. They put way too much steering in. Like they'll put like at least twice as much steering input in as they really need to, and they'll hold it for twice as long as they need to as well. And that's why people have so many problems with backing. It's the steering control. Now, when you're backing up, keep in mind the trailer can do its own work. It doesn't need your help. Just all it needs your help with is setting up and controlling it on the way in. That's it. Anyway, that's all I have for this load. That'll probably be about all for this video as well until I meet up with this other driver, and stay tuned for the next video, which will be my next load, which is the one I'm swapping for from here to Tolleson. I don't know how long he'll be here, but hopefully I won't have to sit too long. And hopefully I'll be able to get to Santa Rosa before my shift ends today, and then I can easily run it into Tolleson from there. Yeah, that's all I have. If you have any inputs on what you want, what kind of content you're looking for on these vlogs, whatever, please let me know. Want to make it engaging and useful for you guys, or at least worthwhile for you guys to watch. So, all right, that's all I have. Thanks, and I look forward to seeing your inputs.